together again.
You got fat.
What's happening, YouTube? We up in here with the semi-spoiler review. We're not going to spoil it completely. And I decided to bring the biggest non-comic person in the world who likes movies to join me. Is my lovely wife. Lovely wife, how you doing?
Hello, I'm doing fine.
The only thing we're missing is my baby girl whose birthday is today. So shout out to baby Elle. She is 1 year old, getting closer and closer to me getting her into the MCU. But we're here to talk about Black Widow. So if you're finding me for the first time, please subscribe. Check out some of the content I put on my video. So, honey, how do you want to start this out? You want to go the good, the bad, the ugly? Where would you like to start?
Wherever you want to start.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first Marvel movie we've seen in a while. And, of course, it's got the homegirl, Scarlett Johansson, who is Natasha Romanoff, doing her spy thing. And some people would say this is a spy movie, kind of like the Bourne Identity and the Bourne movies. I would say that this is more of a movie about the spy itself, herself. It gives you the background, and more importantly, this is an origin story about Natasha Romanoff and the Black Widow program. Would you agree with that?
I agree.
And so I wanted my wife to do this review with me because depending upon your perspective on movies, if you are a comic fan, you just love the MCU, you're going to be satisfied with this movie. But if you're someone who's kind of like helter-skelter, you go see some of the Marvel movies, but not all of them, this might not have been the best movie for you to go see in the beginning. So, honey, I think we should start out talking about what was good about the movie. And I think as a comic fan, we was happy to see the origin story of Black Widow. It just feels like it's late. It feels like it should have been done a long time ago. And her origin story picks up right after the events of Civil War. And the movie starts out where Scarlett and her sister, played by Florence Pugh, Yelena, who, ladies and gentlemen, if we're talking about the good, she stole the show. Would you not agree?
Yeah, I liked her.
Yeah, the sister stole the show. And furthermore, it confirms for me that the sister is going to go on to be the new Black Widow in the future as Scarlett Johansson steps down.
Yeah, I didn't think about that like that until you said something. It kind of reminds you of how, you know, in Black Panther, Shuri was, you know, the little sister, but she caught your attention. And that's how Yelena, is that her name? That's how Yelena did in this movie, where you're always looking to see what is she about to say? What is she about to do? Yeah, I agree.
She was very, very funny. And in this particular movie, she plays the role of Scarlett Johansson's spy little sister. So you've got David Harbour, who's the father, and then you've got their mother. And they just go all the way back to the very beginning of how young Scarlett Johansson, Natasha Romanoff, got thrown into the spy program. Now, what part do you remember I was about to get mad about? When they came and started taking people and they were separating a couple of them black girls from Natasha Romanoff and Yelena.
All of them were the defects.
Yeah. I was about to say, Marvel, don't start trying to say the black folks the defect. I was about to but then I realized that's not what the case was.
Right.
If you are a fan of action, you are happy when they had action, but there's a counter to that, and I'll talk about that when we get to the bad. How did you feel about the action scenes?
I like the fight scenes. Yeah, and even some of it was little kind of comical, kind of. Yeah. It also put me in the mind of Kill Bill, how some of their fight scenes, when certain things would happen during the fights, and you would just kind of laugh to yourself, like, did that just happen? Did she just do that?
She did it.
Yeah.
So, for example, one thing that we're talking about where Yelena, the sister, kept stealing the show was she mocked Scarlett Johansson for her classic pose when she jumps off of something about to whip somebody's ass. And she was like, how do you do this? How do you stretch the, oh, that hurts. The sister was funny as hell. So when you go into this thing, you're not going to be able to take your eyes off the sister.
Yeah.
The dynamic that they played between sisters, I felt like was good.
Yeah.
You know,
they added to the movie. Definitely. Yeah.
And if you're scaling this to what we have seen on Disney Plus's app, this is completely in line with Falcon Winter Soldier. This doesn't have the mystical elements that you get from WandaVision. It doesn't have all the power and mystical elements you get from Loki. This falls right in line with Captain America, Falcon Winter Soldier, and movies of that ilk. So if you're someone who really, really likes to see power display, you're not going to get that in this movie. David Harbour, who played the father, how did you like his role?
I think he did a good job.
Right.
He was funny as well.
Yeah, he was funny.
Yeah, he was funny as well.
And when he got out of jail, he sure enough was trying to get back with that mom and wanted to get him some of them draws, huh? Like, that's all we think about. And so for me, David Harbour's character, he was just a filler, to be honest with you. He had one or two good moments, but in all honesty, I felt like he was legitimately put in this movie to be simply the comic relief, in all honesty. The real deal meat and potatoes of this show is going to be the sister, the mama, and of course, Scarlett Johansson. If you are a fan of Scarlett Johansson, if you are a fan of the Black Widow character itself, she satisfied you in this movie because she definitely embodies a Russian spy. She embodies the Black Widow. It's kind of like when you see Chris Hemsworth playing Thor, Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man, or when you see T'Challa being T'Challa based on Chadwick Boseman. They embody these characters. And if you really, really like Scarlett Johansson, you're going to love her and what she did in this particular movie. And now it's time for me to get on with the bad, because the movie is not trash. I know some critics have tried to say it's trash. It's definitely not trash. It's a decent movie, but it ain't trash. But there was a lot of elements I felt like Marvel could have taken advantage of to make it a little better. And so this might be a little bit of spoiler territory, but I'm going to pick it up. So my wife not knowing who Taskmaster was at all. You never heard of Taskmaster, right? Well, as I was explaining to her, and this is a little bit of a spoiler, they gender bent Taskmaster. Taskmaster is a man in his comic lore. His name is Anthony.
Okay.
And his power is he doesn't have a power. He was just born with the ability to mimic anyone he sees, and he's got these great reflexes. Well, they did that in this movie, and I'm going to show you guys a picture of Taskmaster's comic lore, and I'm going to show you a picture of Taskmaster in the MCU. So take a look at that. So what they did to enhance the mimicking abilities of Taskmaster, all his abilities were through technology. And as I said, they gender bent Taskmaster. He's not a man on this show. And that was not the fact that he's not a man, but the fact that they didn't flesh out more of the story of him was a letdown for me. And in classic Marvel lore, they sometimes have a hard time fleshing out the villains. And so this movie, you have two parallel running villains, just like you do with most of the Marvel movies. You have two villains. You have a big villain, you have a bad villain. You might go into this thing thinking Taskmaster is the ultimate bad villain, but he's not. There's someone pulling his strings. And how did you feel about this particular Taskmaster? The only thing good about this Taskmaster for me was his fight scenes. What did you think about him? Or did she leave an impact on you?
She didn't really.
Exactly.
She was just a villain in the movie that
sounded the muscle.
Yeah, basically.
Exactly. That's what I mean, ladies and gentlemen.
So there's supposed to be a backstory there is a backstory to the real
Taskmaster?
Taskmaster?
The real Taskmaster has a great backstory. He's been on several Marvel teams, affiliations, and all that stuff. I mean, he's now, even in the comics, he's not really a super tough bad guy, but he has that mimicking reflexes, which makes him an adversary. He's someone you don't just game plan for. You got to make a little game plan for him. The other thing I felt like with this movie, and I don't know how you feel, but it was too long.
Well, I was a little distracted.
Well, the fact that you got distracted is my point. It was too long. Yeah. And the good part was about it being long was that this was a lot of dialogue. This was a lot of dialogue amongst the sisters, amongst the family. And I felt like that kind of took away from the overall movie. I
don't know. What would you have taken out then? If
I
think a lot of the dialogue was necessary to establish kind of like the drama in their childhood and some of the trauma that they've carried into their adulthood.
I wouldn't have took out the initial separation. No, you keep that.
Okay.
But some of the drama, like the jail scene,
that was too long of a break.
Way too long.
I did think about that.
Way too long. And for those that are wondering about David Harbour's character, the Red Guardian, he was Russia's version of a super soldier. And what I liked about him in this movie is, hey, even super soldiers eventually get dad bod if you don't take care of yourself. And then I did like the parts when he was talking about how he would have wanted to take on Captain America. He wouldn't want to take on no Captain America the way he was when he came out of jail. He got that ass.
Didn't Thor do that? Thor developed a dad bod too, right?
Yeah, Thor went and got a dad bod when his whole life crashed down on him too. But to me, the length of this thing with them wanting to really flesh out characters almost makes me think they should have made this a mini series. But I know Kevin Feige, who's the PGA for Marvel, he always wanted Black Widow to have a movie, but he was not allowed to do this before they decided to split out Marvel's properties from the Disney organizations. The guy that ran Disney, he had a tight ship. He didn't want them to have Black Panther. He didn't want them to dribble off into the weirdness that we now see with WandaVision. He just wanted a vanilla, and I'm glad that they split out from him. So now Kevin Feige can pretty much do what he wants to do. So I feel like this movie was just an homage to Scarlett Johansson and her greatness. Did you notice the soundtrack?
Not really.
Me neither, which means the score was not good. I ain't noticed it either. And y'all know, look what I'm wearing. I didn't notice that either. How'd you like the portrayal of the mother?
I liked her.
As a spy?
I don't know. I liked her character. And I figured out kind of what was going on in the movie. So I like how they did her character. Okay. And the other main bad is Drogoff, someone from Scarlett Johansson's past that she thought she had killed, but she hadn't. And basically, he's got a castle up in the sky, kind of like the Inhumans, only it's his whole little command. He's the one that is in command of all the entire Black Widows across the whole world, and he's got them sprinkled off all over everywhere in the world using them. And he had one good line where he said the world's greatest resource is little girls. And you know what he was doing? He was taking those little girls, giving them Stockholm syndrome and making them do his bidding and going and completely destroying governments all around the world. Did you feel invested in that villain? Yeah, he was somebody that I didn't like during the movie. So I did have some emotion towards him.
Right. You had more emotion toward him than you did Taskmaster.
Right. I mean, Taskmaster was just a
muscle.
I didn't know if I was supposed to pay attention. I didn't even know the person had a name. So it was like,
oh my God.
I'm sorry.
Oh my Lord.
I didn't know that villain had a name that I should have recognized.
So ladies and gentlemen, that's why I say sometimes it's good to bring a non-comic person on so you can kind of do a little bit of a breakdown and an explainer of what's going on. And so that brings me to this point. We've kind of gone through everything, the good and the bad of the movie. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rank this movie? 10 being the best, 0 being the worst.
You know, it's hard to say because I think there's a lot that went over my head by me not knowing the storyline.
Well, that's why it's important to have someone like you here.
Yeah.
So from what you gathered.
So I would say a 7 because
really?
Yeah.
You give it a 7?
Is that what you ranking it higher or lower?
Lower.
I would.
No, but don't base it on me. Base it on you.
I would give it a 7 because I enjoyed I like the interaction between the family, basically. Right. So I like the camaraderie that she had with her younger sister. I like the action in the movie. The fighting sequences and the storyline was believable.
It was.
It kept my attention. So I enjoy it. And the reason why I said it's hard to rate is because I think if I go back and watch it again, I would appreciate some of the things that were happening better.
Right.
Because, I'm so not aware of this storyline that when I initially started watching it, I thought Scarlett Johansson, the little one, I thought it was a little girl and a little boy and her older brother. And Lamont was like, no, that's Scarlett Johansson. Those are 2 little girls. And I didn't realize that. And it also took me a while to realize who what's the Huger guy? I didn't make the connection between who was in the past and who their characters were when they fast forwarded to real time.
Right.
And I didn't connect the characters. So a lot of that stuff went over my head. And I think if I was to go back and watch it again, I would appreciate it more and enjoy it a little bit more and catch some of the jokes and stuff that were thrown out. So.
Yeah, and by the way, shout out to everybody watching this live. I'm doing this as a quick review, so I don't have to go through the hardship of uploading and all that. I'm being lazy is what I'm saying. But we will be coming back live tonight. We're going to have our special guest from The Chi on the show at 9 p.m. To be honest with you guys, and y'all know I'm a Marvel biased person. I love the MCU. I'm a comic biased person. I'm still in that lure. I can only give this movie a 6.5. I felt like if they wanted to do so much fleshing out of the individual characters, then you might should have put it on Disney Plus and made this like a 10 or 15 part series, hour-long series, maybe 30-minute long series. I did love Scarlett Johansson's character. I mean, I've always loved Scarlett Johansson. You know that. I just recently kicked Scarlett Johansson to the curb as one of my Hollywood girlfriends, but I tend to do that every now and then. But she still did the damn thing in this movie. David Harbour, he was funny, but again, Florence Pugh, Yelena, the sister, you stole the show. When I think of Russian Helga, I think of your voice. I don't think of the way you look, but I definitely think of your voice. When I think of a Russian spy, you are more what I think of. I don't think redhead. I think a blonde with that voice being a Russian spy. High as I can go is 6.5. Okay. That's high as I can go. And the experience would have been better for us if we would have went in the theater.
Probably.
Now we do have a nice setup here. We've got the surround sound and all that, but it's still not the movie theater. Right. We've got the movie theater recliner chair. We've got the whole nine, but it's still not a movie theater experience. It's definitely entertaining. It's watchable. It's not hot garbage like some other hating ass celebrities have tried to say. But it's definitely a good movie. I think one of the things is that it's been so long since we've seen a Marvel movie. And this is the first thing you get when you finally come back to see a Marvel movie after waiting so long. I think that for me, I had pent up anticipation that I wanted a little more. And this was supposed to have come out last year. So
you gave it a 6.5, but do you think your score would have been higher if you had the movie theater going experience? Would it have been different? It
probably would have went up to about a 7.
Okay.
Yeah, it probably would have went up to about a 7. And there are 2 post-credit scenes, so make sure you guys stick around, check out the post-credit scenes, and let me know what you think. I will probably jump in with B. Avery maybe Sunday night to do the full spoilers, Easter eggs, and all the goodies that was to be found in this movie, and kind of talk about how are they going to sunset Scarlett Johansson and replace her with Yelena, Florence Pugh. And if that's going to be our new Black Widow, we've got a lot to look forward to because, the chick is funny. She embodied funny. She embodied power. She embodied spy. She embodied everything you want that character to embody. And she's a great person to pick up the mantle of the new Black Widow. So any closing words, honey, you want to say to the people?
No, I enjoyed it. And I think I'll try to go back and watch it again.
Yeah. It's definitely, you definitely want to probably watch it more than once. If I ever give something a score below 5, don't watch it twice. But if you make it to 6, that definitely means you can watch it twice. So that's how I grade things on this here life game scale. Let me shout out the people in the super chat. Zias B, Jenna, Zias B, Key Mallet, LSW, the whole crew is here. We're grateful that you guys came to share a little bit of time with us as we have seen this Marvel movie. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe. Come back and check us out tonight when we get ready to start previewing The Chi, the next episode. And we actually have someone who was on the set of The Chi that will be in the next episode. Till that next Sexy as Hell video, which will be tonight at 9, I'll see you.